South America is a land of breathtaking landscapes, rich cultures, and dark, eerie places where spirits of the past linger. From abandoned towns to haunted cemeteries, each location holds terrifying stories of tragedy, unrest, and the supernatural. Join us as we explore 15 of the most haunted places in South America, where history and horror intertwine, and the line between the living and the dead blurs. 1. Humboldt Chile. In the desolate desert of Atacama, Humboldt stands as a ghost town, abandoned for decades, where the echoes of the past linger like a suffocating fog. This former mining town, built on the back of slave labor, is said to be cursed by the spirits of those who perished under brutal conditions. The bones of countless miners, who died in accidents and under the oppressive work conditions, are believed to still haunt the area. Every year, on the anniversary of the mine's closure, the sound of metal clanking and the cries of the fallen can be heard drifting through the wind. Witnesses claim to have seen shadowy figures near the ruins, while others report hearing whispers in the night. It is said that on the rare occasion when night falls on Humboldt, the lost souls of the miners rise from their graves, wandering the long-abandoned streets, still searching for freedom they never achieved. Even the dead seem unwilling to leave this desolate place, forever bound by a curse of endless suffering. 2. Rico, Potosi, Bolivia. Cerro Rico, or the Rich Mountain, was once one of the wealthiest sources of silver in the world, but the human cost was staggering. Underneath the mountain's glittering surface, thousands of miners lost their lives in the harsh, unforgiving tunnels. Today, the mountain is a haunted labyrinth of twisted passages where the spirits of the dead refuse to rest. Miners still descend into the mountain, offering gifts to El Tío, a dark and menacing deity who governs the underworld, believing that it is the only way to appease the angry spirits. There are tales of ghostly figures that drift through the tunnels at night, of strange lights flickering in the depths, and of miners who have been dragged into the earth never to be seen again. Some say that on moonless nights, you can hear the anguished cries of those who perished, lost forever in the bowels of the mountain, their souls bound to the cursed silver veins. The air is thick with the stench of death, and the mountain itself seems to carry a palpable weight of malevolence. 3. Recoleta Cemetery, Buenos Aires, Argentina. In the heart of Buenos Aires, the Recoleta Cemetery is a haunting place of marble mausoleums and twisted iron gates. Among its most famous residents is Rufina Cambacheres, a young woman whose tragic fate is said to have caused her restless spirit to haunt the cemetery. Rufina was mistakenly pronounced dead and buried alive in 1902. Her tomb was sealed tight, but days later, the grave was found disturbed, with claw marks inside the coffin. It is said that Rufina, in her final moments, struggled desperately to escape her tomb, but was doomed to suffocate in the dark. Today, her ghost is said to wander the cemetery, seeking retribution for the horrifying fate she suffered. Witnesses claim to see her shadowy figure drifting among the tombs at night, and some say that they can feel her cold breath on the back of their necks. In the moonlight, she is said to haunt the graves, ensuring that no one else suffers as she did. Her restless spirit remains a warning of the horrors that can occur when death is mistaken. 4. Lenoria, Chile. Lenoria, once a thriving mining town, now lies in eerie silence in the remote desert of Chile. The ghost town's desolate landscape is haunted by the spirits of the countless slaves who worked in the mines, many of whom perished under brutal conditions. The town's abandoned cemetery is a place where the restless spirits of the dead are said to roam. Reports from visitors and ghost hunters alike tell of shadowy figures moving between the gravestones, their mournful wails echoing through the empty night. One legend speaks of a young slave girl who was brutally murdered by her captors and whose spirit now wanders the cemetery, searching for her lost soul. Some have seen her apparition, clothed in tattered rags, her eyes hollow with grief. But it is not just the slave spirits that haunt Lenoria. Some believe that the curse of the town extends beyond the grave, and that the very land is tainted by the suffering and death that occurred there. Those who dare visit often report a suffocating sense of dread, and many say they have felt unseen hands pushing them back as they attempt to leave. 5. Isla de las Muñecas, Mexico, located just outside of Mexico City. Isla de las Muñecas is one of the eeriest places on Earth. The island is covered in thousands of mutilated, decaying dolls hanging from trees, their blank eyes staring into the void. The dolls were placed there by Julian Santana Barrera, who believed that the spirit of a young girl who drowned in the nearby river haunted the island. Barrera began hanging dolls in an attempt to appease her restless spirit. After his mysterious death in 2001, it is said that the dolls became more than just an offering. They became conduits for the girl's vengeful ghost. Visitors report hearing whispers and the unsettling sound of the dolls moving in the wind. Some claim to have seen the dolls' heads turning, or their eyes following them as they walked. The island has become infamous for its dark supernatural energy, with many locals warning against visiting at night, fearing that the ghost of the drowned girl, along with the spirits trapped in the dolls, might come to claim those who disturb their home. 6. San Cristobal Castle, Puerto Rico. San Cristobal Castle, the largest Spanish-built fort in the Americas, stands on the rugged shores of San Juan. The fortress, a historical relic from the colonial era, has a dark past of executions and betrayals. One of its most tragic tales is the story of Maria Dolores, a young woman who fell in love with a thief named Betancourt. When Maria's father, the town executioner, discovered their affair, he ordered Betancourt's execution. Maria, heartbroken, hanged herself in despair next to the gallows. Some say that on certain nights, the ghosts of Maria and Betancourt appear together in the fort, forever entwined in death. Visitors who wander the fortress after dark have reported seeing their ghostly figures standing side by side, staring out at the sea. Others claim to have heard the sound of Maria's sobs carried on the wind, or the faint sound of a noose creaking in the night. The fortress, once a place of war and death, has become a site where love, loss, and betrayal haunt the ruins. 7. Cemetery of La Llorona, Colombia. In Colombia, the legend of La Llorona is one of the most chilling ghost stories passed down through generations. La Llorona, or the Weeping Woman, is said to be the spirit of a woman who drowned her children in a fit of rage and now wanders the earth, mourning their loss. In the cemetery of La Llorona, witnesses have reported hearing the sound of a woman crying at night. Some claim to have seen her ghostly figure wandering among the graves, her face obscured by a veil of darkness, her mournful wails filling the air. It is said that if you venture into the cemetery at night, you may feel an icy hand on your shoulder or catch a glimpse of her sorrowful, hollow eyes. Those who have encountered La Llorona's ghost say that she is a vengeful spirit, seeking to pull those who dare to approach her into the depths of despair. The cemetery is now avoided after dark, with locals claiming that disturbing La Llorona's spirit brings terrible misfortune. 8. The Pasco and Alberti stations, Buenos Aires, Argentina. The subways of Buenos Aires, specifically the Pasco and Alberti stations, are notorious for being haunted. Construction of these stations led to the deaths of several workers when the walls collapsed during construction. Years later, a bomb planted on the tracks killed 6 more. Since then, sightings of ghostly figures, unexplained electrical malfunctions, and security cameras mysteriously turning off have been reported by the subway workers. One night, a worker claimed to have seen a figure staring directly into a security camera lens when it was turned back on. Other workers have described hearing footsteps echoing in the empty tunnels, even though no one else was around. Visitors and locals who pass through these stations after dark say they feel an unsettling presence, as if being watched by invisible eyes. Some have even heard disembodied whispers, urging them to leave before the spirits claim them too. The air in the stations is thick with an oppressive, cold energy, one that seems to seep into the bones of those who venture too close. The Jolma Building, Brazil. The Jolma Building in São Paulo, Brazil, was the site of one of the deadliest fires in the country's history. In 1974, a blaze engulfed the 25-story skyscraper, trapping people inside and leading to a horrific death toll. Among the victims were 13 employees who perished together in an elevator, their bodies fused together by the intense heat. Since then, the building has been plagued by chilling paranormal activity. Visitors and employees report hearing strange noises like muffled cries and the sounds of desperate banging on walls. The spirits of the deceased are said to remain trapped in the building, their agony forever imprinted on the structure. People have claimed to hear the cries of the 13 employees who perished in the elevator, and some even say that on certain nights, they appear as ghostly figures, trapped forever in the elevator shaft. It is a place where the boundaries between life and death blur, where the souls of the lost never find peace. The Palace of La Moneda, Santiago, Chile. The Palace of La Moneda is more than just a symbol of political power in Chile. It is also a place with a dark history, haunted by the spirits of those who met a tragic fate within its walls. During the military coup of 1973, President Salvador Allende and his staff were trapped inside as bombs rained down. The building was filled with chaos, fear, and death. In the days following the coup, La Moneda was used to interrogate, torture, and execute political prisoners. Many believe that the spirits of those who died in the palace still haunt its halls. Visitors and workers have reported hearing faint screams and footsteps in the otherwise empty corridors, and some have seen shadowy figures standing in the windows, peering out at the city below. The oppressive atmosphere in certain rooms is almost tangible, as if the weight of the violent history is pressing down on those who dare to enter. It is said that the ghost of Allende himself can be seen on rare occasions, pacing the hallways in his final moments, reliving the horror of the coup that ended his life. 11. Hacienda Santa Clara, Peru. Deep in the Peruvian countryside, Hacienda Santa Clara stands as a relic of colonial times. Once a thriving plantation, it now lies in ruins, haunted by the spirits of the slaves who toiled there. The master of the estate was known for his cruelty, and many slaves died under his brutal hand. Their restless spirits now haunt the grounds, seeking vengeance for the lives they lost. At night, the sound of chains dragging across the floor echoes through the empty halls, and shadowy figures are often seen moving in the distance. Some have reported hearing whispers in an unknown language, believed to be the voices of the slaves speaking from beyond the grave. Visitors have also felt cold hands brushing against them in the dark, and many leave the estate with an overwhelming sense of dread. Legend has it that the spirit of the cruel master also haunts the estate, eternally tormented by the souls of those he wronged in life. The atmosphere is thick with anger and sorrow, as the souls trapped within the hacienda continue to seek justice. "12. The old prison of Ushuaia, Argentina. At the edge of the world, in the icy wilderness of Tierra del Fuego, lies the old prison of Ushuaia. Once home to Argentina's most dangerous criminals, the prison is now a museum, but the spirits of its former inmates remain. The prison was notorious for its brutal conditions, with prisoners subjected to freezing temperatures, starvation, and isolation. Many inmates died from exposure or took their own lives, unable to bear the torment. Today, their anguished spirits are said to haunt the cells, their cries echoing through the stone walls. Visitors have reported feeling a sudden drop in temperature as they enter certain areas, and some claim to have seen ghostly figures lurking in the shadows. The most chilling sightings occur in the solitary confinement cells, where prisoners were driven to madness. The air is thick with despair, and those who spend too long within the prison's walls often leave with a sense of overwhelming sadness. It is a place where the suffering of the past refuses to fade, and where the dead still cry out for release from their eternal imprisonment. 13. The ruins of the Church of Las Ruinas de la Parroquia, Costa Rica. In the heart of Cartago, Costa Rica, lie the crumbling remains of Las Ruinas de la Parroquia, a church with a cursed past. Built in the 16th century, the church was never completed due to a series of disasters, including earthquakes and a brutal murder. Legend has it that a priest engaged in a forbidden love affair with his brother's wife, and when the affair was discovered, the enraged brother killed the priest and buried his body beneath the church. Since then, the ghost of the headless priest is said to roam the ruins, searching for his lost soul. Visitors to the site have reported seeing his ghostly figure wandering through the ruins at night, his decapitated body shrouded in mist. The air around the ruins is heavy with a sense of foreboding, and those who visit after dark often feel an inexplicable chill as they approach the site. Some believe that the church itself is cursed and that the spirits of those connected to its tragic past will never find peace, forever bound to the ruins. 14. Parque Nacional. Kula, Chile nestled within the remote wilderness of southern Chile. Parque Nacional Kula is a place of breathtaking beauty and of supernatural terror. According to local legend, the park is home to ancient spirits that guard the land, spirits that do not take kindly to those who trespass. Visitors who camp in the park have reported hearing strange, disembodied voices in the night, as well as the sound of footsteps following them through the forest, though no one else is near. Some have seen ghostly figures flitting between the trees, disappearing as quickly as they appear. The most terrifying encounters, however, involve the park's waterfalls. It is said that if you approach the falls alone at night, the spirits of the water will reach out to claim you, dragging you beneath the surface, never to be seen again. The park is a place of both beauty and danger, where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and where the spirits of the land hold sway over all who dare enter. 15. The Old Hotel of Rincón Delmare, Colombia. On the windswept coast of Colombia, the Old Hotel of Rincón Delmare stands as a monument to lost dreams and restless spirits. The hotel, once a luxurious getaway for the elite, fell into disrepair after a series of mysterious deaths. Guests reported strange occurrences during their stays: cold drafts in rooms with closed windows, objects moving on their own, and the feeling of being watched. One particularly chilling tale involves a newlywed couple who stayed at the hotel on their honeymoon. The bride awoke in the middle of the night to find her husband staring blankly at the wall, unresponsive to her cries. He later claimed to have seen a ghostly figure at the foot of the bed, a woman in white who whispered his name. The couple left the hotel the next morning, but the bride's health rapidly deteriorated, and she died just days later. It is said that her spirit now haunts the hotel, joining the other restless souls who wander its dark, decaying corridors. Visitors who brave the ruins often leave with a deep sense of unease, as if the spirits of the past are still watching from the shadows. These haunted locations in South America serve as chilling reminders of the tragedies that left a lasting mark on the land and its people. Whether it's the restless souls of miners in the Atacama Desert or the eerie whispers in ancient ruins, these stories continue to haunt those who dare to visit. If you're ever brave enough to step foot in one of these places, remember, not all who wander here walk alone.